Before we get started, I just wanted to mention that I did something a little bit differently this time. I edited out the pauses and the ums and ahs just to make everything run a little bit shorter, and so it's a little smoother on the audio side. The downside is that it's a little jumpy on the video side, so it's not something you guys like. Please let me know in the comments, and I'll not do that again. Thanks. Enjoy episode 3. Hi, welcome to The Long Road. I hope you're enjoying what's going on here. I unfortunately just moved something I shouldn't have moved, and now I'm out of sorts. All right, but we're going to keep it in there because that's what I do. And again, hopefully I have flipped the image when you're watching this, but if not, cool. What writing for a paycheck taught me. Now, one of the biggest adjustments I had to make as a writer was understanding this simple truth. The moment someone hands you a check, the work changes. Writing on spec is freedom, right? Writing for hire, something entirely different. When you're writing a script, a comic, a pilot on your own, you're the final authority. You answer only to yourself, right? You chase the version of the story that feels most honest, most daring, most you. That's art in its purest form. But the second a project sells or is optioned or you're hired, you are no longer the boss of the material. Someone else now has skin in the game. They'll have notes. They'll have opinions. They'll see the project differently than you do. Sometimes fundamentally so, you know. And if it's in film or television, the money involved is real money, millions of dollars, okay? So careers, reputations, and jobs are tied to whether this thing works or doesn't. And that kind of risk comes with fear, and fear often shows up as notes that sand the edges off, notes that make things safer, broader, less sharp, less weird in some cases, right? And that part can be brutal, especially when you feel like you have the creative high ground. Early on, I learned that you can push back a little, politely, thoughtfully. You can explain your choices, why you made them, and how changing them impacts other elements of the story. You can advocate for the work respectfully. But if after that they still want to make changes, they still want the note, you take the note and you don't take it personally. You don't sulk, you don't half-ass it, you do the best version of that note. If someone asks me to put monkeys and broomsticks into a script, then I'll write the best damn monkeys and broomstick story that I can, because that's the job. And here's the flip side though, right? If you love a piece of work too much to change it, if you can't stand the idea of someone else shaping it, if those compromises would break the thing for you, then don't sell it. Keep it creator owned, right? Make it a comic where you call the shots, self-publish it, turn it into a play, write it as a novel. Do it on your own terms. That instinct to protect something you bled over, it's valid. What isn't valid is assuming that once money enters the picture, everyone else should be bending to your vision. Okay, it doesn't work that way. I know from experience. In 2023, after the first issue of Midlife came out from Image, you should check it out if you haven't, I got a call that I wasn't expecting. I hadn't taken the project out. It was just a cold call. A successful working screenwriter, producer, the kind of person with an overall deal and real shows, real network muscle. They love the comic, right? Not just the hook, but the father-son story, the regret, the shame, the emotional spine of it. The very Gen X melancholy that I baked into the premise. For context, Midlife is about a man whose father was a firefighter who died in the line of duty. The son grows up wanting to live up to that legacy, so he joins the Los Angeles Fire Department. But here's the thing, he's terrified of fire because it killed his dad, right? So he spends 25 years as a desk jockey, just not being a hero, ashamed, stuck, feeling like he failed. And on his 50th birthday, the day he plans to retire, he finds out his new wife is pregnant. He's going to be a father again at 50, which, for those of you who watched the previous episodes, very autobiographical. I was a new dad at 50, and now again at 55. The panic of being a dad and the shame sparks this impulsive act of courage in our hero, right? He runs into a fire to save a dog and discovers that he's fireproof. So he becomes a superhero at 50 to not to save the world, but to reclaim his own sense of worth, to live up to his father, and to feel like he's a better person for his children. So obviously that part is very personal to me. And the producer wanted me to write it my way. They were going to help pitch it. They were going to be involved creatively, but they were going to basically godfather it. I don't know if that's like a real term or not, but the idea is you really want somebody who can not just be a mentor, but has the ability to get you not just through the door, but somebody who can help shape a project, can help take it across the finish line. I've never had a godfather in that sense, but this was the closest I came. Anyway, we built this pitch that I was incredibly proud of. It was serialized. It was character driven. It was emotional, this superhero story about regret, fatherhood, and second chances. We did all that after the network optioned it. But then when they saw the pitch, the notes came back. They didn't want that show. They wanted a firefighter procedural. Fire of the Week, Rescue of the Week, Rescue 911, a superhero firefighter of the week show. That was the hook. But the truth is, I couldn't see myself writing that version. Not because it was bad, but because it wasn't the thing that I originally responded to when I wrote it. It wasn't the thing that the producers responded to when they read it. It wasn't procedural, it was serialized. And doing it that other way, to me, it stripped away the emotional core that made me want to do it in the first place. But to the producer's credit, they did let me write the version that I believed in, the pitch that I believed in, and the network passed. Now, I lost an opportunity, but I didn't lose the work. They gave me my rights back, which after optioning it, they didn't have to do that. And for me, that was kind of the real win. Not just that they gave it back, but for me knowing that sometimes you're not the right person for the version of the story that somebody wants to tell. So to me, as a writer, you have to find a balance between who you are and what you want to write and making a living. There's no wrong way to be creative. But being professional means understanding the difference between protecting the work and partnering on it. Sometimes the right move is compromise. Sometimes the right move is to walk away. As far as Midlife, over the holidays, I just wrote it as a feature on spec. And this version really excites me. It's with my agents now, and we're looking for partners. We'll see if we can get attachments and move forward with it. The version that feels great to me. Fingers crossed. I'll let you know how it goes. Writing as a profession isn't the same as writing for yourself. There's overlap, sure, but they're not the same thing. And this is also true in comics. I've been speaking mostly in terms of film, television, because that's the big money risk sort of thing, but comics are no different. Unless you're self-publishing, if DC or Marvel, Boom, or any other publisher hires you to write something, they're going to have opinions. They've got editors. They've got editors-in-chiefs. They've got publishers, right? They will have a say, especially if you're working with their characters who've been around for 70 years and have their own history. They have rules, expectations. You don't own them. So the challenge, and it's also a thrill, because I do think that writing to a large extent is creative problem solving, is finding something new and personal to say inside the framework, making it feel alive again, making it your own, even when it seems like everything's already been done. Sometimes you're given a sandbox to play in. Sometimes you create that sandbox, because that's when you're writing a story, you have to build the world. But sometimes that sandbox is handed to you and you have to learn how to write within it. But that's the challenge, and a lot of times that's the fun. But let's be honest, if you're writing for DC and they tell you that for the next 6 months Batman's going to be a robot, you have to adapt, even if you don't like it. Anyway, sometimes that could cause people to hate what you do. Sometimes you can own it and you make a choice and it doesn't resonate with certain people. Some will love it. Some will say that you ruined the character. I used to have screenshots of a few people during our run on Flash who told me that I ruined Flash forever and they were never going to buy another DC comic. So I'm not sure if they stuck to their guns in that one, but yeah. Anyway, some will say that you screwed up their characters and that you didn't get it, or that it was lazy writing, which I'm going to do a whole other episode on people who say lazy writing and how that's incredibly offensive. Anyway, but they'll say you're you're lazy or careless or disrespectful. But here's the thing. A lot of that comes from how personal fandom is. Like geek culture, nerd, whatever you want to call it, fandom is personal, okay? It's intimate because people spend a lot of time with these characters. It's solitary, right? You're reading a comic book at your own pace. You can go back pages, you can reread it. You spend as much time as you want with these characters in these sort of immersive worlds, right? And over the years, fans build their version of canon, the version that belongs to them, that they feel ownership of, right? So when you write something that doesn't match what lives inside their head, it can feel like a violation. Fandom is a kind of ownership, and people protect what they own. So you have to know that when you're going into writing IP, you're not going to make everyone happy, and some people are going to think that you ruined their lives. And that's okay. That's just part of the deal and part of the honor of getting to write other people's characters. And you hope more people like what you did than don't. But something interesting can happen. If you're lucky enough to stick around long enough, longevity changes the equation. There are those writers, and there's not a lot of them, but there are those writers who spend years on a character, right? They do a definitive run on a book, or they help shape a genre. Those people, they build a kind of trust, a base, a cushion. Like if you're Ed Brubaker and you're doing noir, like people are in. They've built that track record, they've built that trust, and they reach some creators reach a certain point that the audience will follow them. A certain segment of this reading population will follow them anywhere and defend them automatically. Like I see sometimes, even reviewers, like comic reviewers, are not immune to this. Sometimes they will love everything that certain people will do, no matter the quality, because it's like a sense of loyalty. It's a sense of, I don't know. I mean, the flip side happens too, where there'll be people who hate everything you do. There's like this one reviewer who hates everything that I write. And I have to ask myself, why are you reading it then? If you don't like it, just don't read it. Move on. There's like 400 or 500 comics a month that come out there. You don't have to waste your time on something that you don't like. Anyway, that's probably another episode too. The point being that you build this body of work, you build this trust, and you get this room for experiment, for freedom, more fans, more opportunity, and more money. So that's the loop. Personally, I don't think, well, I know that I'm not there yet. I'm still in the middle of it. I don't have like this giant fan base that will follow me into the abyss. I do have some fans, and I have felt hints of that dynamic. And there's some people that will follow me from book to book, even though I switch genres, and I don't think I play in one specific little field. Anyway, so here's the thing that I wish people would understand. There is no wrong way to be creative, but there is a difference between making something for yourself and making something professionally, because the moment someone hands you that check, the work stops being only yours and it becomes a collaboration. It's commercial art at that point. It comes with notes, compromises, and responsibility. That doesn't ruin the work. It just changes the game. So if you want total control, protect it. Keep it creator owned. Make it on your terms. But if you want to do this for a living, you got to learn how to take notes. You got to deliver. And you got to still find a way to find yourself inside the work. It can be done, right? Both paths are valid. They just reward different things. And I've learned to walk that line between them because that's the job. Good luck up, and until next time.
Just using you, but you're so blind to see that.